This USA Today 301 DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code RACESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
From the Midwest to the Northeast to New Hampshire, we go. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. You're probably tuning in expecting an Xfinity episode of this show. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's no odds out yet.
They did it to us again, Rod. Like what? I mean, there's a couple of things, but I don't know. Same thing we had last week where they're just waiting. What? We don't need to be waiting. What's the holdup? I don't know. But luckily, the Underdog's not waiting. DraftKings not waiting. They got salaries out for us. They got better thans, worse thans out for us. So luckily, we just talk some Cup Series fantasy. Come back tomorrow with the Xfinity Series side of things.
We most certainly are going to be doing exactly that. And we can always adjust this show. That's the great part about being our own bosses. We can adjust this show. You can have things pop up telling me that I need to plug in my computer, which is what I'm about to do right now. We're bringing you DFS edition. We're going to give you our favorite DFS plays. And because there's no trucks, then that means that this week we get to dedicate a full episode to the Cup and a full episode to Xfinity. So that's kind of one of those hidden gems of being able to not have trucks, even though we miss them.
Yeah, exactly. You were joking earlier when we were talking offline. The Truck Series a lot like IndyCar and F1 these days, where they race once every 3 months at this point. So luckily, Truck Series is back next week. But when they're off, it does give us the opportunity to have just the full focused fantasy episodes, which I think is a lot of fun. And again, helps us kind of dig a little deeper into the weeds. Talk about some guys that maybe you didn't see coming, Rob.
Indeed. And we also get to help people procrastinate, which is my favorite part of anything. Nico checking in saying, morning boys, 6:20 a.m. on a Thursday. He's procrastinating about getting out of bed. Guess he's going to chill for a bit. Hey, if we are here to give you an excuse to not get out of bed, I'm all about it. That's what I love.
Yeah. Good morning, Nico. Thanks for checking in from down under there. So hey, we'll help you stay in bed and get the juices flowing before you have to get up for the day.
I mean, if nothing else, then this is your excuse to just kind of stick there, enjoy your morning. I know that my buddy always says every time he gets out of bed, he's like, when I was a kid, I used to see my dad sit in a chair for like 5 minutes after he woke up and he just sat there. And he's like, I never understood why. He's like, now I'm older. I get it. I get it.
I'm not sitting in a chair when I wake up, Rod, or I'm going to fall back asleep. But
you know
I
what?
basically look like a zombie, so it's fine.
Yeah, I literally, it's tough for me anymore. And now I'm even finding myself on the back end of energy, even though I know it's still only like 1 o'clock back at home. So definitely crazy, but something that'll keep you awake is football season. Countdown to football season is on. SGPN has got you covered. The college football experience is doing individual team previews for every college football team, just as they've done every single year. if you are bored, which you shouldn't be anyways, but listen to this show first and foremost and listen to this network, then take a stab, take a ride down that college football experience train where every single team is covered. Every single year, it's just this crazy mass of shows that pop out for you. You're never going to have a dull moment. Plus, SGPN's 5-Minute Fantasy Football is your quick and dirty podcast getting you prepared for all things fantasy. Speaking of fantasy, Cody, that is what this is dedicated to. That is what we are going to do. There hasn't been any breaking news since we talked last night about the Cup Series. So, it's kind of going to be a quick and dirty show. Well, not quick. It's never quick with us, but it's going to be definitely a less news heavy show.
Yeah, it's never quick, Rob. But there's not really. I mean, there's basically nothing. Frankie Muniz got signed to drive a couple of Truck Series races. He can drive 4 races for Rayum Brothers this season. And that's really about the end of the news, right?
He earned. I mean, listen, I was
stuff.
so sad for him when what was it? The last race that he did, that the Xfinity race that he ran like 3 laps and that was it.
Well, like
it was,
Portland, he didn't even qualify for the race because they had that issue.
That's what it was.
Yeah, things have been rough. Connor Daly's going to come back and race some ARCA races and some truck races, which is kind of being announced now too. So that's always exciting too. But outside of that, very slow news day, Rod. The rumors continue to swirl, but not much to talk about news-wise. But that means we can just get the fuck into this, talk some fantasy.
Let's do it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I always enjoy.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So as we always do on these solo episodes, as far as the series are concerned, we give you our favorite high price, mid price, and low price drivers for each slate. And then, of course, we'll close up the show with giving you 3 of our favorite underdog plays for the race as well. And that's exactly what we do. So we started off by saying hello to Jessica. Good afternoon, boys. Hi, Jessica. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yes.
Yeah. So, Cody, who is our high-priced driver for this USA Today 301?
So
you know what? We didn't even set up this race, Cody. What the hell are we doing? I'm away for 5
We're
seconds.
that excited, Rod. We're that
really
excited
are.
to get into this.
Fine. Let me just set up this race real quick for everybody. That way they know what we're dealing with. We are on the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire, set for 301 laps around this 1.058 mile paved track for 318.458 miles with a lobster waiting for the winner of this race. Maybe they'll use their DFS earning to buy the rest of the fixins around the lobster, but they at least get the lobster that they get to take home and cook. So, all right. There's nobody on this driver's list that's shocking. So we'll just now go right into it.
Ty Dillon's racing, so there's that.
I said shocking.
You did say shocking. Damn. Okay. Well, never mind. Well, you know what? One of those good fixin' sides for the lobster is, Rod, and that's corn. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but Ryan Blaney had some corn last week. Maybe he'll get him some lobster this week. So look just to kind of set up the DFS board here. Christopher Bell at the top, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. Like all 3 of those guys, strong, solid place. So pick which ones you want to go with. I'm going to talk about Truex in a different way in a little bit. I talked about him yesterday in the betting episode. Probably going to play him. Wanted to highlight Ryan Blaney, though, for this DFS episode. Let's ride the hot hand, Rod. He has been freaking good here lately. 117.9 points last week at Iowa. Obviously, starts in second place, wins the race. 201 laps led, 48 fastest laps. Yes, Iowa's not going to be a direct transition here, but the momentum coming off of a short track running well, not just at Iowa last week, but 2 weeks prior to that at Gateway. Now, he only escaped with 11 DFS points, but very misleading. Of course, led 20 laps, 20 fastest laps, was going to win the race, right? 2 laps to go, runs out of gas, finishes in 24th. That kills his day. Should have been a great day for him there. And then even if you go back to Phoenix, a solid day, right? 54.1 points, not the worst day ever, not the best day ever either. But Ryan Blaney's been good these last couple of weeks on these short tracks, which I think is good to point to. You go back and you look at his history here at New Hampshire, been a little up and down, right? 22nd last season, 18th in 2022, but a lot of bright spots here as well. 2021, 5th place finish with 64 laps led, and then we had another 20th place finish, but then 4th, 7th, 9th. He's had some good finishes here. And last season, Ryan over at iFantasy Race pointing out 5th in stage 1, 4th in stage 2, 3rd best total speed ranking, but ran over his air hose during a caution with about 30 laps to go while running in 2nd place. Asterisk mark, finished in 22nd. But again, result not indicative of how he ran. So he was running very good here, 5th in stage 1, 4th in stage 2, in 2nd place with 30 laps to go in the race. Not a ton more you can ask of the guy from last season. The result ended up not being what it was, and a risk you're going to take with Ryan Blaney sometimes because they run out of gas, because he's one of those guys that things just happen sometimes, and they can't always get to the end there. But he's been on fire here lately. I think that the Toyotas are going to get a lot of attention with Hamlin and Truex and Bell all at the top. You're probably going to play at least one of those guys. Maybe you're going to have to play 2 of them, but I think that Blaney could be a sneaky way to get in on this and be a solid play that kind of pivots you off of those guys. He's got all the momentum in the world. Really, he should have won 2 of the last 3 races, if you want to look at it that way. Shorten that gateway race by 2, and we're having a completely different conversation here. Like, holy shit, the defending champ's on fire, 2 wins. He's led all these laps. He's got all this momentum. Instead, it's he won last week at Iowa. Okay, but he also dominated last week at Iowa. As good as Kyle Larson was throughout the entire day, by far the best car, Blaney led 201 laps. So had a really strong day. 10,300. I don't think he'll be super popular this weekend. Again, with kind of a hairy results at mixed bag in New Hampshire, but results not always indicative of how he ran like last season. Give me Ryan Blaney at 10,300.
You just made my daughter very happy. She loves her some Ryan Blaney, and what's not to love? I mean, the fact that he finally got into victory lane last year, or last week rather, as the defending champion from last year, it's got to feel good for him. He is locked into the playoffs. I love that. That's Cody's favorite term right there. And now he can just sort of take swings. Now he can kind of say, all right, I could take a chance here on strategy. We're not pushing for a win. We've got one. We'd love to get another one, obviously. So this is how we'll go, but we don't need him to win for this. We just need him to finish well. And we need to be able to lead some laps. We need him to be able to, if he needs to place differential here and there, he'll get that. And so I think Blaney, love me some Blaney. I think I had him as a top 10 as well, or at least had him clumped in as a top 10 car with another driver. Yeah. For this one. Go Fast Troy saying hello, Go Fast Troy. Good to see you.
Join us.
Didn't see him yesterday, so it's good to see you today there, bud. All right. My high price driver. I will start with Chase Elliott, $9,200, the model of consistency this season. Cody's brought it up so many times before. And he's not even one of the higher priced guys. He's 9,200. He's on the low end of the 9,000s. You start with this. Chase Elliott is has the third highest fantasy points per race average this season with 43.4, third only to Denny Hamlin at 46.2 and Kyle Larson at 47.8. You think that, and then you go, but I don't know. You always remember back, and I said this a couple of episodes ago, betting episodes ago. You tend to remember that Chase Elliott finished 15th at Talladega, 15th at Atlanta, 12th at Vegas, 19th at Phoenix. But what you don't remember, for whatever reason, because anytime somebody brings up Chase Elliott, now they go, but really, is he that good? His average finish is 9.1 this season. He's averaging inside of the top 10, which is better than his average start of 11.9. He's got 10 top 10 finishes in 17 races. That alone should tell you right now how good that is. Yeah, he finished 13th at Gateway, 12th at Darlington, 15th at Talladega, like I said, 16th at Austin, 19th at Phoenix, 12th at Vegas. Just started the season out poorly. But if you look at since that Austin 16th place finish, 5th at Richmond, 3rd at Martinsville, 1 Texas, right? Then that problems at Talladega, 5th at Dover, 3rd at Kansas, then 12th at Darlington, 7th at Charlotte, 4th at Sonoma, 3rd at Iowa. It's just finish after finish after finish that has been inside of the top 10. And that's what you want. That's why he is the 3rd highest fantasy points per race getter right there on the board, 43 points. So no matter what you get from him, you're going to get somewhere within 35 to 60 even. Like last week, he got 61. The week before that, 43, 34, 37, 44, 51, 52, 69. Stop me if you hear a bad number, right? 25, that was Talladega. We threw that out. 81 before that at the Echo Park in Texas, 75, 39. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with the numbers. Suffice it to say that Chase Elliott has put up good numbers consistently in DFS. Here on New Hampshire, it's been mixed bag, kind of like what Cody was saying with Brian Blaney. Last season, started 18th, finished 12th. But again, that was part of that run where, Chase Elliott was still not 100% yet, and we weren't seeing him fully back. But the year before that, he finished second, right? Started second, finished second. And so over the last couple of years, it's been a mixed bag. He finished 9th in 2020, and then 18th in 2021. So again, this is one of those tracks where it's not necessarily his strongest, but given that this season he has been able to stay relatively consistent, no matter what kind of track configuration you're throwing at him, I'm definitely encouraged by the simple fact that, and then, third at Iowa last week, which is just 0.2 of a mile shorter than this track in and of itself. That's got to be a good sign for you, especially starting 9th. So give me Chase Elliott to be a good DFS play here at $9,200.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on it, Rod. I'm sort of off the Hendrick cars again this week. Like I talked about, I don't know that he has like a big, it's weird to say, but like, is he going to come out and just lead a ton of laps? Like, does he have a huge upside? I don't know. We haven't seen it from him yet this season. So I don't know. I'm torn on Elliott. I hope to see it, obviously, but I'm not sure. Troy saying Chase Elliott may be best at all track types this season. Yeah, that could be the case. He's been pretty solid, right? Also wants to know if we're going to talk about that 10 car. Man, just couldn't really find a way to bring up Gragson this week. He is 7,300, so I think worth a mention at least. He's really cooled off. I mean, we were on the Gragson train before everybody was on it, before it was a big thing when he was getting all those top 10s. But, the last couple of weeks, he's really kind of, cooled off and cooled down. Whether that has something to do with the, announcement of SHR closing and all of that, who knows? I know the argument was kind of being had in the Discord. Well, Eric Almirola is always good in New Hampshire. Does that have something to translate to the 10 car? And some of the guys made some good points. Maybe they have a setup that works really good, but like I said over there, you put Eric Almirola on a trike at New Hampshire, and he's going to be one of the best cars. Like he's really good specifically at that track. I don't think that was so much the 10 car as it was just Eric Almirola. Now, maybe they've got a notebook that they built from that they can transfer to Gragson, but I don't know. Just not real huge on Noah this week.
We may talk about him in Underdog. We probably won't, but we'll talk about Underdog right now. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog's going to automatically double flex your entry so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With even more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever, and the best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can also use specials and boost on all flexed entries. Cannot wait to unveil all of our Underdog picks for this race. Going to use all the players that we're using because so far we've been pretty damn good at these lately. And the fact that you can miss 2 makes me even more fearless as I go in to start building these Underdog plays. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it is gone. Sign up today with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. All right, Cody. Let's take a step down in price. Who is your mid-price driver?
Yeah, going to go to the mid-price driver. We brought this guy up yesterday because he came up in the chat, but we couldn't find a good way to bet on him. He is the number 10 car's mate. I do like him for DFS this week, though. Josh Berry in the number 4 car, Rod. He is at $8,000. They seem to have found something out lately. Now, horrible day at Sonoma, but it's a road course. I'm not going to hold that against them. They did wreck out at Worldwide Technology Gateway early, so a last place finish there. But if you take those 2 results out here recently, 7th place at Iowa after starting in 3rd, led 32 laps on the day, had a nice solid run. You go back to Charlotte, 10th place finish there. Obviously, it was a shortened race, but still ran good. 3rd place at Darlington, 15th at Kansas, 14th at Dover, even a 16th at Talladega. Some pretty good runs there. 11th at Richmond. Go back to Bristol, he was 12th. Did struggle a little bit earlier on in the season, and Phoenix was one of those at 26. A little bit concerning there, but Barry is a short track guy, right? This is their thing. Seems to maybe be a little bit of momentum after some pretty good runs here lately. Again, you've got those 2 races in there where they had some issues, but other than that, he's been having some strong runs. I mean, last week he starts in 3rd place. Hard for him to score many place differential points, obviously. Finishes 17th, though, or 7th, rather. 18 fastest laps, 32 laps led, scored you 49 points. You go back a couple of weeks ago at Darlington, where he started in 33rd and finished in third. Great run by him there. Scored you 73 points. But he's got this upside of being able, Richmond 60.5. That's what you're looking for from Josh. That's what I saw last week. And I think that they can kind of carry that momentum forward. They're looking for a job, right? Both Josh Berry and Rodney Childers. Now, Childers is the most wanted crew chief in the garage, right? He's going to get a job, but sounds like maybe they want to be a package deal. So kind of showcasing what they can do to teams. I don't know. Personally, if I was Joe Gibbs, I'd be throwing everything at him to come to the 19 and get as far away from James Small as you possibly can. I think Truex would maybe stay around longer if he had a decent crew chief, but that's another story for another day. But I do like Josh Berry this week. Short track guy. He should be good here. And he's had some pretty good runs here lately, minus a road course and some bad luck at Illinois. But strong runs by Berry. I've been impressed with it. Like I said yesterday, wanted to find a way to bet him, but none of the numbers were quite right. Love him in DFS this week, though, at $8,000.
Yeah, that's one of those guys where you don't need him to hit that magic mark. You don't need to get him, like if he finishes 11th, the difference between 11th and 10th in DFS is you could probably still win a good chunk of money if he finishes 11th instead of 10th. If you lose on a top 10 bet on Josh Berry because he doesn't make it into the top 10, you're ripping up your ticket and you're, throwing up the middle finger. So I like that. I like that you don't have to necessarily hope for him to finish in a specific position, but you can just hope for a good finish from him. And I think that's what you're going to get from him as well. So I like that a lot. I also like Bubba Wallace. I brought him up in the betting episode yesterday. I know, again, not a lot of people like Bubba Wallace, but I do like him for DFS purposes. $7,500 for Bubba Wallace this week. I talked about him yesterday, talking about how it's just been a crazy, mixed up, wonky season for him, but he is still averaging 28 fantasy points per race. And it's somebody who's at $7,000, $7,500. 28's not bad. It's not ideal, but when you dig around the area that he's at, you're not seeing a whole lot more than that. I mean, Bubba Wallace is at 28. Kyle Busch. That'd be fun if he came back. Kyle Busch is at $7,700. And I'm telling you, Kyle Busch at this point, you want to root for him. You want to have fun with him. I think $7,700 is a good price for him, but you run that risk. You really do run that risk with Kyle Busch. 26.9 points for him. Gregson, however you want to say it. I got to ask him for sure. 29.3. That's only a point more. Briscoe's at $7,200. He's at 26.1. You get the point, right? I mean, Josh Berry is a good play right there, 27, but in that $7,000 range, I think Bubba Wallace offers you the most upside. And just like Go Fast Troy says, Bubba Wallace is probably going to be low ownership. Absolutely. Because no one's going to want to play him, but I'll point to this. And this was sort of my whole argument on the betting episode last night, was that the last two races for Bubba Wallace here on this track, third place in 2022, after a fourth place start, started 8th, finished 8th in 2023. I mean, honestly, there's no place differential in that 8th place finish from an 8th place start, but that 8th place finish alone will return you pretty nicely on your $7,500 investment on him, as would that third place investment. So I'm kind of not bringing up a lot of what he's done this season because it's not the greatest, and it's not going to make you feel good about this. And I'm trying to make you feel good about playing this as well. But when you look back at his DFS plays so far this season, 25 points last week, 21 the week before that, 8 in Illinois. So that was pretty tough, but 36 week before that, he actually got you 51 at the All-Star race and the All-Star Open 49, but 41 at the Goodyear 400, 34th at the 34 points at the Advent 400. So 43, 52, 32, 23. They're not like ridiculously great numbers, but I think, again, if you look back at what he's done on this track, there's a lot of room for improvement. I think there's a lot of room for him to, even if he's having a bad season, he can still find a way to get around this track well. We think the Toyotas are going to be good. We think 2311 is going to be good. Therefore, Bubba Wallace is probably going to be good. So I know I gave him out in the betting episode to actually hit a certain point, but I feel more comfortable playing him in DFS. That way I know if he finishes, like I said, 12th or 11th or 13th, it may cost me a couple of positions, but it's not going to rip up the whole ticket. So Give me Bubba Wallace, $7,500 as my mid-tier driver.
Yeah, I love this play. I liked how you called him out yesterday. I've got more thoughts on him in a little bit when we get to the underdog side of things, Rod. So I'll save the rest of my thoughts on Bubba there, but I think it's a great play.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll get to our low price drivers, but let's first tell you about Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you got to have Rhythm. Go download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Plus, it's never too early to start your NFL predictions. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. I keep reaching down to my legs, Cody, because yesterday I was in a field full of ridiculous gnats and bugs, and I have not stopped itching all day long. This is ridiculous.
Oh, I miss being in the military so much.
Oh, I don't. And I'm in. Never mind. Anyway. All right, Cody.
You don't have to miss it, Rod.
I don't miss it. Let's save some folks some money. Who's our low price drivers?
Yes, Rod. Well, I went deep into the RCR camp yesterday with Kyle Busch. Let's double up. We'll go with some more RCR. Give me Austin Dillon. Only 6,200 this week, Rod. Nice and cheap. Look, the biggest thing on this is you look at 2 of the last 3 races. We were on shorter tracks, flatter-ish, right? A little, not as flat as New Hampshire, but there's definitely some stuff you can take over. You go back to Gateway. He finished in 6th place that day, Rod. 53.6 points for you, even starting in 18th, finishes 6th. Last week at Iowa, started all the way back in 36th, only finished 19th, but it's a lot of place differential there for you, 41.9 points. I like those type of things. Bristol even earlier this season, 25.9 there as well. And I think the track history here is very important. 9th place he finished last season at New Hampshire. Strong run for him there. Was 23rd in 2022, but 17th, 13th. He tossed in the 32nd, but 21, 19, 15, 16, 13, 22, 8, 11, 14. Like, that's all of his finishes here. A lot of pretty solid finishes for a guy this cheap. 16th, 15th, 16th, 13th, 11th, 14th. Like, that's the type of day you need from Austin Dillon to cash this. Hopefully he won't start well like he did last week. Now, that was obviously metric-based, although there could be some rain in the forecast this weekend, Rod. It's not looking great. So his metric will obviously be a little better with it won't be that much better because he finished 19th last week. So he should still start pretty far back, which could make him an even better play. But 6,200 RCR, both of these RCR cars have been good on these short tracks. The results have not been there for Busch. We talked about that yesterday. If he can just get the finish, it'd be great. But at only 6,200 for Austin Dillon this week, he's the guy that I actually kind of like, Rod. I don't know if you had me liking Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon in the same week on your bingo card, but go ahead and yell bingo if you did.
No, because I need that free space to hit.
Well, Kevin Harvick, unfortunately, is at home watching races these days, so our free space is gone.
I was letting the audience catch up with that because I know what I said, and I wanted them to figure out, wait, did he say he needs a free space to hit? Does he know that it's free? No. I sit there, and I'm like, when are they going to call free space? That's what I want to wonder.
Oh, you guys believe how many times I was close to this? I just needed this free space. And I don't think I got called once during this game.
Psst, Rod, that free space is free. Yeah, that's how I roll right there. All right. Speaking of a free spot, you brought him up in the betting episode, and I fully, wholeheartedly agree with it. And I think he's even a better DFS play than he is a bet this week, and that's Justin Haley. Justin Haley,
so cheap, Rod.
That's why I'm saying $6,100 for Justin Haley.
Yes.
He's not as cheap as I want him to be. I was scrolling down toward the 5,000s to find him, so they bumped him up a little bit. Right, he was 5,800 last week, but he was 6,400 the week before that too. So it's crazy. Justin Haley, so underrated. Well, I mean, right now, yeah, he is, because he's 1,000% doing what he needs to do. 37 points last week at Iowa, right? Started 19th, finished 13th. He actually had 2 fastest laps on a $5,800 salary. He gets 37 points. Overall this season, though, fantasy points per race, he is 29 points per race so far for a $6,100. There's some mathing in there somewhere, but that's really good on average for him to get you good points. He didn't do well in Sonoma, but that's a road course. We're going to toss that out. But Gateway, 47 points on a $5,700 salary, 22 in the Coke 600, but 53 in the Open, 54 in the Goodyear 400, 42 in the Advent Health, 33 at the Dover. I mean, listen, he has been giving you great fantasy performances all season long. Again, at $6,100, I mean, the top 10 finishes can be there for him. He's running inside of the top 10. He was 13th last week, right? 9th at Gateway, 9th a couple of weeks ago at Darlington, and then a good fantasy day in Kansas where he started 35th and finished 18th. Don't say 35th and finished at the same time. It just won't come out. Started 35th, finished 18th. Dover, 36th, finished 23rd. The list goes on and on this season. He's been able to give you good fantasy quality starts and one of those guys where I think people are catching on, but I don't think they're really, really catching on. I think they're catching on. The smart folks are catching on, but the main people are still looking at Justin Haley going, yeah, he's down at the bottom of the list for a reason, where they're not really paying attention to the fact that he's been running really well and he's going to continue to run well. On this particular track, it's not, you can't really bring up too much, but he has actually had good quality DFS days on this track in his career too. Last season started 19th, finished 17th. It's not a gigantic number, but for a guy like him, finishing 17th is good. And that was in the 31 car, right? That was in colleague equipment where Cody will tell you that's not good equipment. 2 seasons ago, started 25th, finished 20th in that colleague car again. And then in the 77 Spire car in 2021, started 30th and finished 28th. So has not got you points, right? He's definitely not lost you points on this track. And I think now that he's running well in that 51 car, better days are ahead. So yeah, give me Justin Haley, $6,100 for my low price driver.
Especially on a short track, especially in a Ford now, like love all of it. I talked about him yesterday. Go Fast Troy with the RWR over Colleague. I mean, really insert any team into that first section because Colleague, I think, is the new RWR, but that's how it goes. Yeah, love Justin Haley. You know how much I love him. I continue to talk about him every week, and I'm probably going to keep talking about him for a while, Rod.
I stole your whole notes. That's all I did. And then I just copied it.
You beat me to this, which is fine because, again, like to try to talk about different guys. So I'm glad that you had a point of view on him just like I did. And it gave me an opportunity to talk about Austin Dillon. So there's that.
JDK doesn't think that you needed to talk about Austin Dillon.
He's cheap because he sucks, he says. Well, Justin Haley's cheaper. He doesn't suck. So
Tis true. All right. Let's turn our attention to Underdog. Oh, wait, get out your pen and paper. I forgot. I got to tell you about these plays that we gave you for your DFS DK lineups. Cody started you off with Ryan Blaney as his high price driver at $10,300. I gave you Chase Elliott at $9,200 as my high price driver. Cody stepped down to Josh Berry at $8,000 for his mid-tier driver. I said Bubba Wallace at $7,500 would be my mid-tier driver. Cody said Austin Dillon at $6,200 was his low price driver. I went $100 cheaper to Justin Haley at $61 for my low price driver. And now we will turn our attention to Underdog Fantasy, where you can use our promo code RACESGPN, get that deposit match and that first pick special, and load up on all of these. Pick 8 so you can use all 6 of these. Grab 2 more if you want somewhere else, and toss those in as well. And you can miss 2 and still cash your entire entry. But I feel pretty safe with where we're going now, and I like my plays, and I do like your plays as well. So,
yeah, favorite play by far, Rod. Brad Keselowski better than 9.5 in his last 19 starts at New Hampshire. Only 5 times did he not finish better than 9.5. Rod, Brad Keselowski is good here. Talked about him yesterday on the betting episode a fucking lot. If you haven't listened to that yet. I'm very into Keselowski this week. He's been top 7 in his last 4 starts here, even 1 in 2020, led 184 laps that day. 3rd place at Worldwide Technologies a couple weeks ago. 4th place at Phoenix back earlier this spring. He has 3 top 3 finishes in his last 5 races, 7 top 4 finishes this season. And over the last 5 races, again, from my fantasy race, Ryan over there, number 1 rank, best average finish 5.2, best driver rating, best average running position. Brad Keselowski in New Hampshire, get along good. If you haven't placed your outright bets on him, go do that. But absolutely love hammering his better than on underdog. You go back and you look at what he's done here lately this season. Like, things have been good for Brad Keselowski. Let's go. I mean, let's really look at the whole season, Rod. You go all the way back to Phoenix, like 4th at Phoenix, 3rd at Bristol, bad run at Coda. Who cares? Road course. 8th place at Richmond, another short track. Good. Martinsville, rough day at 24th. 2nd at Texas, 2nd at Dega, 30th at Dover, 11th at Kansas, 1st at Darlington, 2nd at Charlotte, 3rd at Gateway, 13th at Sonoma, Rod. He's not good at road courses these days. The 13th still was not a bad run. 10th place at Iowa last week. Again, a track that was new. We didn't exactly know what to expect. Whatever, 10th place, nice run for him there. Things have been going extremely well for Keselowski this season. He's extremely good at New Hampshire. Would not be surprised to see him win this race. This play will be in every single underdog I submit this weekend, I think, Rod, because it's way too big of a number. He's 14 of 19 that's how many times he's hit this in his last 19 trips to New Hampshire. Yeah, love it. Brad Keselowski better than 9.5.
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on Brad. He's definitely going to get his this weekend. 9.5 is such a great starting position that you get that way you can. And, we were talking about it yesterday or last week rather too, where they were giving us some pretty low starting positions to choose from on some of these. And we kind of took advantage of that. And I think this is the scenario for this as well, where I'm in a better mood. Therefore, most of my plays are actually on the positive side this time. Last week was a pretty sour mood, and guess what? It all worked out. So I guess it doesn't matter what mood I'm in, as long as it works out for us, right? So I'm going to start with Ross Chastain again. I gave him out last week as worse than 10.5, right? I said I don't think he's going to get inside of the top 10. Thankfully, Brad Keselowski outdueled him in that final lap, in which I praised and shunned him several times over. It felt like every half second I was doing yay, nay, yay, nay, yay, nay. But Ross Chastain did end up finishing just outside of the top 10 last week. But I don't think that warrants a 13.5 projected finishing position for Ross Chastain this week. 13.5, as much as I was like, he's not going to get a top 10, he finished 11th, right? Last week. So that it wasn't like it was that far off. I didn't think he was going to finish in the top 10, and he didn't. I didn't think he was going to finish as low as 14th. So give me Ross Chastain better than 13.5. Talked about it last week. He finished 11th, but before that, 5th at Sonoma, 12th at Gateway, 8th at Charlotte, 11th at Darlington. Had a bad day in Kansas, right? But he had started on the outside pole, so things looked okay for him there. However, the finish was not there for him. Dover, he finished 12th. Talladega, he finished 13th. Texas finished 32nd. That was kind of a bad race for him there. 15th at Martinsville, 14th at Richmond, but 7th at Coda, 15th at Bristol, 6th at Phoenix, which is what I'm taking away, 4th at Las Vegas. His average finishing position is 12.5 so far this season. So he's got, what is it, 6 top 10s on the season so far as well. So I think the 13th place is kind of a number where you could take advantage of this. And also they're probably looking at the fact that last season he finished 23rd here, right? Not a really good day for him at all. But in his previous 2 races here, 2 8th place finishes in 2022 and 2021. One in the 42 car, right? That 2021 season, he was in the 42 car, and then he turned around and did it again in the 1 car in 2022. So I think Ross Chastain, again, it's a top 10, maybe a stretch for him here, but I do believe that he could finish in the top 13 for sure. He's going to be fast. He's always fast. It's just a matter of, does he not get caught up in something? Can he not put himself in a position where he's playing bumper cars with everybody on the track? Like, there was a couple times there where he was kind of leaning on somebody to get where he needed to go. I know he's pushing. I know that team wants a win. I know this team wants to really just get back to where they were a couple of seasons ago, right? And for him to be one of the guys that everybody talks about. So yeah, Ross Chastain, I think, is going to be a top 13 car. He may even be a top 10 car this week, but I'm done downplaying him. So give me Ross Chastain better than 13.5.
Yeah, honestly, I looked at this one and I was going to try and build a case for worse then, because I just am kind of off Chastain at the moment, but I couldn't build the case route. So I think that helps make your case. And I like the case that you made. So yeah, no argument from me there.
Beautiful. All right, who do we got next?
Something I think you won't argue with. Bubba Wallace, better than 15.5, right? You talked about him yesterday on the betting episode. You talked about him earlier on the DFS portion of things. Now I'm going to take him here, 8th and 3rd the last 2 seasons here in New Hampshire. That's really the majority of building this case. But if you look at what he's done lately this season, it's not been horrible, right? It's not been the greatest either, but not been bad. 17th last week at Iowa. But you go back to Charlotte, 11th place there. Actually was 6th in the All-Star race. Again, a shorter track, flatter-ish, right? So there's some stuff, not a full race. I get it. 7th at Darlington, though. I go back to Texas where he was 7th. Martinsville, he was 4th. Some good runs there earlier this season. 16th at Phoenix, so just half a spot outside of hitting this on a short flat. That's going to be the most comparable track we've been to. Close, not quite, though. But 10th place to end the season at Phoenix last year, so I do like that. But I love 8th and 3rd the last 2 seasons. Strong runs for Bubba Wallace. Again, we think Toyota should be good. We think the Ford's probably going to be good too. I'm a little down on Chevrolet. I think that's going to open up a couple of spots. I think Bubba Wallace can get inside the top 15. Give me Bubba Wallace better than 15.5.
You know how I feel about that already. I totally agree with you that he's at least going to be a top 15 car. Could be jockeying for a way better position too. I think I had top 10 for sure potential. So with top 10 upside, that clears that 15.5 by a pretty decent hurdle. So love it. I love it. I love it. Did not want to go to this guy, but I saw this number and I said, I kind of have to do this. I know I talked about him yesterday on the betting episode. He's one of the favorites. He is the favorite to win this race at, I think, plus 450. I don't know if that number's changed much since last night, but he's the favorite to win this race. I didn't want to go chalk, but in underdog, it doesn't matter. You can go chalk because guess what? You're only playing against yourself and you're only trying to outbeat whoever the finishing position is. So underdog has this finishing position projected at 4.5. I'm going to take the better than for Christopher Bell on 4.5. He's got a potential to win this race. The books think so. We think so. Everybody thinks so. He just won at Charlotte a few races ago. He finished 4th at Iowa last week, right? 7th at Gateway. Arguably should have been better than that because he had that kind of car that was leading 80 laps. He should have been either first and or second in that race. Unfortunately, what did he what was it? He didn't run out of gas, but he got tapped, I think, and got pushed out of the way there at Gateway. But he started 4th, 6th place at Kansas, 2nd in Cody, 1 at Phoenix earlier this season. He's going to be somewhere in that top 5 for sure. And I think that means that he's going to be jockeying for a win. I think he can put himself in the top 4. I think he's even good for a top 3 in this instance. Like I said, I didn't want to give him as an outright because he was the favorite. And I just was like, so I gave Bell or Larson to win the race. But if I think that he can win this race as part of that equation, then I think he's definitely going to be able to finish better than 4th or 4.5 rather. And yeah, I mean, essentially that's kind of where it is. This season, like I said, has been kind of a crazy ride for him. On this track in particular, he has won in the last couple of years. He won in 2022. He finished 2nd in 2021. And then last year he started on the pole. He had a hell of a day, right? He led a lap at least, but he had a hell of a day. He was running 8th with 10 laps to go, something like that, 14 laps to go. And ended up getting a flat tire and he ran over a hose. Just a myriad. It was an odyssey of incidents that kept Christopher Bell from having a better finish that day. So if he had not have had a bad pit stop, if he had not had all kinds of trouble on the track, then chances are he probably would have been able to finish well again. So yeah, Christopher Bell, 2nd, 1st, 29th, but that's not really the true story of what it was. So give me Christopher Bell better than 4.5 for this race.
Yeah, hard to argue with Christopher Bell. Should be great, Rod. He's got to get to the finish, right? A lot of like Larson, but I like having that little bit of a buffer here. That's what's so nice about like this. This isn't betting him at plus 350 to win this race. He just has to finish in the top 4. So maybe Truex shows up, maybe Hamlin shows up, maybe Larson shows up. All 3 could be better than him. He still will be in the top 4, and you're hitting this on Underdog Fantasy. So one of the things that makes this great and really differs it from the betting side of things, where if you were to try to go bet him for a top 4, you're not, which you can't do anyways, but you wouldn't be getting a good number anyways. So yeah, I like it. Something else that I like, that I love, Rod, Martin Truex Jr. better than 5.5. Go over to Ryan's Twitter page, iFantasy Race. Just type in Truex, click latest, and scroll through. He has endless amounts of tweets about Martin this week. But it's been insane how good he has been here. 8 of the last 9 New Hampshire races, Truex has finished in the top 7. The only outlier, Truex caught up in the wreck in a rain. If you remember a couple of seasons ago, him and Hamlin started the race leading, rain, boom, they slide into the wall, and both their days were done real early. But he has just been an absolute beast here. I did just see that he tweeted this out not long ago. In the next gen era at New Hampshire, only Truex, Hamlin, Keselowski, and Wallace, 2 for 2 at finishing in the top 10. Keselowski, Wallace, both just talked about both those guys, so like that. And then Truex here as well. But it's all about Martin Truex when you look at the numbers here. Led 254 laps last season, won the race here. 6 of the last 8 races, he's finished inside of the top 5, which would be hitting this. It's been good. You go back through his season, it's not been the greatest season for him. It's had its ups, its downs. But like I talked about yesterday, the tracks he's been good at historically, the ups have still been there. Places like Richmond, leads 228 laps, finishes in 4th place. Again, that hits the over here. Sonoma had a very good car, was very fast. Dover finishes in 3rd place there, showing up at these tracks where he's historically good. Now he's announced his retirement. To him, not a big deal. Doesn't like the spotlight, all this, all that. But you're going home to this home track one last time, New Hampshire, a place you've been great at. Potentially the chance for him to get that last career victory. Martin Truex Jr. is going to show up for this race and definitely finish inside the top 5. Give me Truex better than 5.5.
There is no part of Martin Truex Jr. that I don't love this week. I guess the only part that I don't love is the part that he lets us all down. So I hope he doesn't. I hope the fact that he's now, this will be the last time that he takes his track, right? I mean, because he knows this is it. This is it for him. He's going to ride out in the sunset with another win on this one, another 400 laps led. And you don't even need him to lead all those laps. All you need him to do is, in fact, you don't even need him to lead any of those laps, to be honest with you. All you need him to do is finish inside the top 5. So
yes,
gotta love it.
Bell's better, Hamlin's better, Larson's better, Blaney's better. You can still hit this on Truex. So he's going to be in the mix throughout the day.
Indeed. All right. Well, then I'm going to turn to Tyler Reddick. We haven't talked about Tyler Reddick much this weekend, and probably for good reason. I don't know, but we've been talking about his teammate quite a bit, so I figured I might as well show Tyler Reddick some love. Tyler Reddick's finishing position is projected at 11.5, so 11.5 for Tyler Reddick. Give me the better then. Just call me rose-colored glasses guy today. I'm just gonna keep taking the better thens in this instance. So give me the better than 11.5. It has not been the most fun season for Tyler Reddick. Everybody was hoping for more from him. He was hoping for more from him. His average finish this season is 13.5. His average start is actually 10.3. But in 3 of the last 4 races, Tyler Reddick has turned in a top 10 performance. So that's better by my count than 11.5, which is what they're giving him right now. Granted, one of those was a road course and one of them was a 1.5 miles, but at Gateway, he finished 4th, right? He started 5th, finished 4th. Really good run from there. Last week, he started 8th, finished 22nd. Tyler Reddick was inserting himself into the conversation here and there. Like, he was doing really well. And then I think he got caught out, or he had a tire go down. I can't remember exactly what happened. It all feels like a blur at this point, but then kind of cost him a good finish in that one. So new track. I'm not going to hold that too much against him. Unfortunately, Darlington was kind of a bad day for him as well. Started on the pole, ended up 32nd, but 11th at Dover, right? 4th at Texas, 7th at Martinsville, 10th at Richmond, 5th in Austin. That's a road course, I know. 10th at Phoenix, 2nd at Vegas. All of these are good finishes on tracks that are not road courses and not traditional, or not road courses, not super speedways. So I feel good about Tyler Reddick being able to be as good as his teammate, if not maybe the better car. But 11.5 seems like a pretty low number for him. So I think he's in for a top 10 finish. But on this track too, this is kind of a tough track for him. But he does have 2 top 10 finishes in his career on this track, a 6th place last year, a 10th place in the 8 car back in 2020, actually. So remember when he was driving the 8 car back in the day, 13th place in the season next, and then 21st. But yeah, that 6th place finish is what I'm kind of taking away from it. That was his first year with 2311, obviously off to a good start for him. And again, I think that he's going to be good. I think a top 10 finish for him and his teammate are well within their own possibility, especially if we think Toyota is going to be good and as good as we think they're going to be. So yeah, give me Tyler Reddick better than 11.5.
If you could just refer to him, please, as the 2024 champion, Tyler Reddick, I would appreciate it. You know how much I love him, Rod. I'm all in on it. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's hard because you want him to be much better, but for whatever reason, something happens. Like, this isn't anvils for him. He doesn't have anvils dropping on him. He's got bowling balls that sort of feel like anvils. You know, I don't know, they don't hit nearly as hard, but they still hit and go, ow.
Yeah, exactly. And like the speed he had at Phoenix, which was really good, one of the best cars on the day. Not the best result, but still finished in 10th place. That's positive. Richmond having a good run there. That's positive too, kind of coming into this weekend. And he's done it before here, so I like that. Give me some Tyler Reddick better then.
Indeed. All right, get out your pen and paper again. We are going to go over our underdog plays for this race. Cody started you out with Brad Keselowski, better than 9.5. I said Ross Chastain would finish better than 13.5. Cody said Bubba Wallace would finish better than 15.5. I fully endorse. I said Christopher Bell would finish better than 4.5. Cody said Martin Truex Jr. would finish better than 5.5. And I said Tyler Reddick would be a top 10 finisher, which would put him better than 11.5 for this 301, right? This USA Today 301 at the New Hampshire Speedway and Loudon Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. I think I've reached my allotted word limit for the day, Cody. So yeah, this is going to be fun. I can't wait to watch this play out. We've been doing so well in Underdog Fantasy. I really hope to continue.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, being able to have 8 picks now, getting the extra, mulligans basically is really nice. So like that. If you're not on Underdog Fantasy, you just listen to this entire show, Rod. Go get on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code RACE SGPN. You're going to love it. It's a really fun time. And again, legal in a lot of states. So if gambling's not legal in your state or whatever, this is a great alternative to that, being able to play the fantasy game. That's a lot of fun. So yeah, make sure you go sign up. Also, Rod, check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. That'll be up shortly to your feeds. Rod and I just talking F1. Things are leveling out. It's not always the match show anymore. We got some different guys winning this week. So make sure you check that out. And follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there, Rod. There's a lot of it. We're just going to leave it at that. Go check it all out. And we'll be back tomorrow. Xfinity Series bets. Hopefully they'll actually pull their heads out of their asses. I saw some top 5 starting to trickle out now during the show. So we'll hopefully have the full slate to give you tomorrow. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on. Like Cody, it's a lot. Check it out. Be there. Be square. Yeah, make sure you check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. It'll drop tonight. And yeah, so much to cover for the next couple of days. I'll continue to be here from my bunker, and we'll continue to bring you the show this way for the next week and a half or so, 2 weeks. So, all right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow with some Xfinity. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.